before I get to my view on what we should be doing, I'm going to talk you through the historic values in Reading over the last 22 years, the future supply that's coming through over the next 5 to 7. I'm going to touch upon change in tenure with build to rent, and I can't resist it, but I've got to do a little bit about the impact of the ever-changing government policy and how that impacts on the market. And I'm going to finish a little bit on what we need to do in terms of creating communities. So, what's happened so far? So this data basically comes from our market research department. It's for Greater Reading, and you can see over here, back in 1997, if you were buying a property in the Greater Reading area, it would be at £120 per square foot. Pounds per square foot, for those of you that don't know, is the industry barometer in terms of tracking prices. Fast forward, 2016, it's jumped to £465 per square foot, so a huge leap. And you can just see in the last couple of years, it's starting to sort of tail back. We've probably seen around a 10% decrease in values. And I've overlaid some of the significant events that have happened in Reading that have actually triggered some of this price growth. And I'm going to talk about two. Obviously, one had to be Crossrail. So this slide here, I was given in 2013 by Network Rail when they announced the Crossrail coming to Reading. And we're just there at the end of the Elizabeth line there. And you can see they were predicting a 74 to 75% increase in properties between 2014 and 2021 within a kilometre of a Crossrail station, compared to 50% in the surrounding areas. Our data shows you, and this was taken up to the end of last year, if you look at Reading Town Centre, so I'm talking town centre apartments, brand new, the growth was as high as 80%. And you can see if you come a mile or so out of town, it drops down to around 46%. So pretty accurate in their forecasts. We anticipate that dropping back to around 72% by the end of this year. Help to Buy, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but you can see government have intervened, they've brought this in. You can see a massive growth from 2013 when it first came in. 24% of the reservations that were being taken on new home sites were Help to Buy. Today, the average is around 78%, and in some cases as high as 80 to 90%. So I've got grave concerns about the sustainability, and I'll talk about that a little bit more shortly. The good thing is it's driven supply. You can see since 2013 we've been averaging around 1,000 new homes a year. The downside is it's driven value, and again, as I say, a real problem in terms of affordability moving forward. If I look ahead, we've tracked all the planning consents that are in the planning pipeline at the moment. This is Reading Borough. There's 5,500 units coming through, and if you look at it in the first instance, you could be quite alarmed. We've overlaid it and sort of projected our best guess in terms of how these schemes are going to come forward, which is fundamentally, I've turned it off, so there we go, back we come. So the light blue on the right is the open market units that are due to come through. The grey is affordable, and the purple is build to rent. On the left-hand side, you can see this is actual data in terms of new home sales for apartments in the borough since 2005. And we've been averaging around sort of 500-600 a year. We think build to rent is actually quite good news because the market couldn't sustain all of these 5,500 units on an open market basis. And it's going to be quite interesting. You've got a new tenure coming in with build to rent, and it's a bit of an unknown. And again, I just sort of want to flag some concerns in terms of 1,500 units is an awful lot of units. I'm not quite sure how much Reading can take. These schemes are absolutely fantastic. You've got private dining rooms, residence lounges, rooftop terraces. We understand from talking to some of these funds that are building these schemes that they're going to be looking for rents in excess of 20% more than the current open market value. So again, affordability becomes a real issue. I have to touch upon this, sustainable policies. We need a more joined up, well thought out process and less of a knee-jerk reaction. I'm going to just touch on permitted development. This is a scheme that we sold 3 years ago, 248 square feet. Permitted development effectively allowed developers to convert redundant office buildings without planning permission, no affordable housing, and no restraints on size. 248 square feet is smaller than your average double garage. And just as a matter of interest, this one particular unit we sold for £174,703 per square foot. The good news is permitted development is declining. Just going to touch on this one, PBG3, a bit of a while ago, 1992. The government at the time were pushing for higher density development, less parking, which is fine in the town centre, but when you're talking about schemes on the outskirts in Shinfield, Arborfield, 5-bedroom family homes with one parking space, not very sensible. This is today, September, so this month. MPs now want a national ban on car parking on pavements. Help to Buy, I think has been sort of mixed. It's been good in some ways. It is due to change in 2021. They're bringing in these restrictions. My view is these restrictions should have been in place in the first place. It's going to be restricted to first-time buyers. There's going to be regional caps. At the moment, it's 600,000 across the country. From 2021, it will be 437,000 in the southeast. And there's talk of no scheme after 2023. George Osborne, had to mention him, he encouraged people to invest into the buy-to-let market with the pension freedom in 2014. Since then, they've been constantly penalised. We've had the stamp duty surcharge on second properties, restriction on mortgage relief, latterly, the tenant fee ban. I won't go into right to buy now. And I just thought I'd share this with you. This is from Arla this week. All it's done is driven the rent, so rents have actually gone up. The policies, you can see in terms of what they've done, and the swing basically. If you go back to 2013, it was all about investors. Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong thing. We had basically around 80-90% investors buying into the market, which was too much. Today, it's as low as 12%. Good news is there's plenty more owner-occupiers, but the market is too reliant on Help to Buy, in my opinion. I read an article today in an industry magazine that quotes that 60% of people that have been using Help to Buy didn't actually need it. Is Reading affordable? Relatively affordable compared to the surrounding local authorities. The population's due to grow. The Office of National Statistics is stating predicting an 18,000 growth in population by 2041. They've all got to live somewhere. This is my view. If you consider what happened in the first 22 years with price growth, I think prices are due to still increase, which causes a bigger problem. You've got 3 significant events coming: Crossrail, third runway at Heathrow, and potentially the Western Rail Link. So if this happens, I think we have a bigger problem with affordability. I'm just going to touch on this because I'm not going to steal Kim's thunder. What does the market need? We need to create communities, not build boxes. This is what they're predicting to build at Station Hill, which if it comes is pretty good. What we don't want though, we don't want a situation like Canary Wharf where it's used in the daytime and not in the evening. It doesn't matter whether it's a town centre regeneration scheme or a garden village. This is actually Arborfield Garrison. And I'll just leave you with this plan. You can see there's lots of things. There's a community centre, there's a cricket green, there's a fantastic secondary school that's been built and now has a huge waiting list. And all these things are what we need to build better. And I think communities is the word that I'll finish with, but I'll hand over to Kim. Thank you very much.